through, but that was the assumption by our elected leaders, who were all men, of course. There were very few women around that time in politics. I started to get involved in trade union work, in trying to help women get a better living, trying to shorten the hours, trying to get into health and safety, trying to do all those kind of things. We got antenatal in, where women were allowed to go to the hospital and see about when they were expecting. All those things were foreign. They just didn't happen here, so they didn't. So that was my first real induction into working with women on women's issues. As I say, when I joined the trade union movement, I joined almost a predominantly male trade union, and I'm on record of saying, I make no secret of the fact that there's no way you'd have been more discriminated against as a woman in the trade union movement, and yet it set itself up to be representing the workers. And so I worked my way up through the trade union and worked my way onto the ruling committee of my union. Again, I was the only woman. There was 23 men and me on the ruling committee, and it was hard work. They just assumed, well, she's just a wee woman, we'll just let her sit there. And my first real activity in those days was to try and get a women's committee. We had this wonderful idea, and I'm talking 40 years ago. We had this wonderful idea of having a women's committee where women could talk about women's issues within the trade union movement. It took us 8 years to establish a women's committee.
Wow.
How
many?
8 years. And that was within an organisation that was supposed to be all for equality. But let me tell you something, when we fought to get a women's committee, we didn't realise we were actually making a mistake. Because once we got a women's committee, we were told, now you go away to your own committee and talk about your own issues. That's not what we wanted. We wanted to be part of the big picture. But because we had been granted a women's committee, they thought the issue was over. And it was a real struggle to fight it. And I have to say it was a real struggle with some women, getting them to look beyond the women's committee, to look at issues that affect the family, that affect children, that affect housing, that affect all of, at that time there was particularly ill health, it was around all those issues. And so that was those years of working for me.